Apostle Paul, apostle to the nations, was giving the vision to the church of her first calling to pray for the salvation of the Jews first, and then for themselves as heathens. We've shifted the course. We've cared for salvation of ours first, almost ignoring the salvation of the Jews. Church was supposed to embrace the Jews. Church was supposed to express gratitude to the Jews, explaining them that thanks to their stubbornness, they've created a door, a chance for us through Christ to enter into the promises that were given to them first. And we are now representing a small minority. What Harold is doing, what Chuck is doing, what we are doing, confronting the replacement theology, approaching the church, appealing, coming back to its calling and destiny, but also asking the Jews for forgiveness.
Israel must hear the gospel, so pray that their hearts be open, that their eyes could see, that their ears would hear what the Spirit is saying. And the next thing is go and speak the gospel to them in love.
So far, how many groups of people or organizations are putting up this program?
Coordinate the work for the European Coalition for Israel in Austria. So I'm basically in both of these movements or organizations, which is a blessing because Christians for Israel more focuses in bringing a message to the church, and the European Coalition more focuses on the political side. Yeah, and it's good to keep them apart if possible. Operation Exodus is there's also a branch of Operation Exodus in Austria, and they also, of course, helped me greatly in setting up the conference for the 100 Days of Prayer. We had a conference with Harold in November, and yes, main Christian leaders wrote the prayer points for these 100 days. So also I called the Christian leaders together to together write these prayer points very specifically for Austria. And God has blessed that also, because Christian leaders now work together who were not friends for a long time, but he called them back around one table. And so it's been blessed on several levels, actually.
What have been the testimonies so far, sir?
Yeah. Well, there are obviously a number of testimonies. We were able exactly 10 years ago to initiate the first Holocaust Remembrance Day in the European Parliament, which has over the years become an official European event. And for us, and especially a day like this, it's so important that we as Europe remember what happened here 75 years ago, the horrors of the Holocaust, and that we as leaders would pause on a particular day and again recommit ourselves to the friendship of the Jewish people and the State of Israel. This is so crucial, also as we have heard here in the conference, that how we relate as nations to Israel is decisive as to what we can expect in our nations. So there are, of course, things such as good governance, transparency, and all the rest, but there is an order which is even higher, and there is an order which I believe is a prelude to seeing the fruits of being in this place. And I think the fruits of this deep Judeo-Christian heritage that we have in Europe, of course, is all these, you mentioned good governance, transparency, rule of law, human rights, parliamentary democracy, and so on and so forth. But it's only when we remain faithful to our roots, to our Jewish, Judeo-Christian roots, that we can maintain this in our societies.
The organization Christians for Israel International. So far, what have you been doing, and what are the organization into more, so that the world, someone who's watching who don't know about your organization should be able to know about your organization?
Yeah, the organization Christians for Israel International, it's all about bringing a biblical understanding to the churches. So our primary focus is on how to, re-educate the minds of the church. And that is where we are. But in Nigeria, it's something that is so new. You know, when you're talking about Israel and replacement theology, it's nothing, we don't understand it in Nigeria, we don't understand it in Africa. So it's like we are gradually trying to move into the churches to re-educate their minds and to tell them our vision and our mission so that they can understand and then come to love Israel. But for now, in Africa, and particularly in Nigeria, we do not understand what it's all about. Most people don't even understand what the Holocaust is. You know, so we're trying to gradually just creeping into the church to see how we can make them to understand. Once the understanding is there, then they can now love Israel, and then we move together.